Hey guitar guys, it's Steve Wimette. Today we are going to talk about Two Tickets to Paradise. Great song, love this song, grew up with it. It was released in June of '78 on Eddie Money's first record, featuring guitarist Jimmy Lyon, who, Bay Area guy like Eddie Money. I grew up in the Bay Area, so I was probably about 9 when it came out, and it's been, part of my life as long as I can remember. I remember when I first heard the song, I was at recess and a girl told me that Eddie Money had written this song for her mom. And later in life I thought, he probably told all the ladies that. Anyway, that said, let's talk about the tone. So I always thought this was a Marshall and a Les Paul. It's a big fat guitar sound, and that would have been very typical of the '70s. However, being a Bay Area guy, I'm pretty sure that Jimmy got hooked up with Randall Smith at Mesa Boogie, then making the Boogie Mark I amp, which was used on this recording. If you look at the Agora Ballroom footage of Eddie Money from '78 that I'm going to put it down here, in the description, you can see that he is playing a Strat. It's a early 60s Strat, and it's running through that Mark I Boogie, which at the time was just called a Boogie, because this would have been just before the Mark II came out. And that's pretty much the entire tone. Strat into the Boogie. You can really hear it on there that it sounds very much the same as on the record, and it's a great tone, great live tone, and his playing is impeccable. This is clearly a solo that was written, unless he learned it after the fact, but it feels to me, phrasing-wise, like he had written this solo out. How I replicated the sound for this video is the best I could do. So this is a parts caster I built. These are Virgil Arlo pickups. Jimmy used the center pickup, the middle pickup, not the bridge pickup, not the neck pickup, and not in between, right in the center. You can see it on that Agora Ballroom footage. So I'm running this through a Fender Showman. It's a blackface Showman. It's similar in a way to what was going on with what Randall Smith did in the first Boogies, in that he originally based it off of a Princeton that he modified with a Bassman power circuit, if I'm correct, something like that. They were modified Princetons early on. When he made the amp, he cascaded the channel 1 and channel 2, which he did internally in the amp. What I'm doing is I'm ganging channel 1 and channel 2 together so that I can cascade-ish. I can mix both channels together to get more input to the amp itself. I'm also running a Mythical Overdrive to get extra gain on the front end, so that you can get that endless sustain that Boogies were famous for at the time. They were the first high-gain amp. So that's basically how I got the tone, and you can see it's a pretty simple setup. I'm running all of that through a universal aux amp top box. I do that for all of my recording in this particular room because this room is a one-room studio, and I don't want to be in a room with an 80-watt Showman cranked all the way to 10 with a Klon-like overdrive in front of it. It's just too loud. So that does a great job. The cabinet, I know that these were 112s with an EV. I did the closest approximation. I can't remember exactly what it's set at. And since the tone was a little bit thinner, I ended up using a little bit of a Pultec MEQ5 to boost some of the mids and a little bit of the low end, and then cut a little bit on the top so that it wasn't quite as twangy. These pickups are a little twangier. Maybe it's twangy along with the amp, but when you hear the tone, it's just a bit twangier than his. He had a full sound. So that's how I got the tone. If you want to mimic that, or if you want to get close to it, you could use any amp modeler that does an early Boogie, or if you don't have that, you could do, maybe like a Fender Twin or similar amp. Maybe not a Twin, that's a little bit too clean. Maybe a Bassman with some sort of a boost in front of it so that you get the sustain, and then you're going to have to EQ to taste to get into that ballpark. He also had sounds like maybe an Echoplex or some sort of a tape delay and reverb that was added after the fact for the solo. So that's pretty much the tone. The song itself is in the key of A major, and the chorus is just, really that's all it is you're going 4, 7, 1, okay? And the main lead line pretty simple, 3rd string, everything right there in major. And then he does the same thing with the last line with a little tag. When he gets to the solo, a lot of it is based on, there's 3 different positions that you're going to play the solo in. You're going to play in this position. So same notes, different areas. And you can see if you watch my video or you can watch the Agora Ballroom video, it's pretty obvious what he's doing. He's really working around that 6-7-1, or actually 5-6-1. Major pentatonic. So everything that's being played is in F sharp minor pentatonic, which is the same as A major pentatonic if you start on the 5th string or the 5th fret. So you can hear that. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I will say that when you start out the solo, he's not vibrating a lot, but he's letting that note kind of feed back and sing. And then he slides into that next position. A big part of his sound is that hammer-on. You hear it here too. And then he goes into this bend. And you think that's high enough? So he's doing a double bend. And he's vibratoing there. And then he goes into another bend that goes from... So you can see he's really working around that area of the pattern. Then he goes up to the next position. And that's just bending. Super cool sounding bend. That's really it. You're right in that F sharp minor pentatonic. And then he gets into that for the end. And he does that for quite a while. And then the little bend at the end. Just a beautiful solo. Simple, well-written, beautifully executed, and totally memorable. So again, I'm not going to go through all the details because you can see it. I mean, you could play the YouTube video on half speed and you can literally watch everything being done. It's not about speed. It's not about being technically incredible. What it is that classic 70s blues rock sound played with finesse, just a beautiful touch and effortlessly. And it sings, sticks in your head, and what an amazing solo. So that's pretty much the whole thing. I'm going to try this out for a while, kind of a combination history lesson, a little bit of the technique used, how to get the sound, how they got the sound, and we'll see how this goes. I think it's interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you do like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's a whole bunch more coming, and I will see you next time.